Okay, so I'm just kind of hanging out on YouTube here, which I don't generally like all that much. But I did put up a major video. This was pretty funny. What um, Joe Biden did, or Mark Dice did on Joe Biden. So the ABC interview, which was ABC. Okay. Now I started, this is part 4. So the first 2 parts I put up already, or I'm putting up. I've recorded them. But I did notice in the Daily Mail and I did notice the New York Post is already um, or they've already taken and corrected shit. They've already censored shit. Not necessarily censored it, but they changed it. I guess you could say that's censoring. Of course, live chat replay was turned off, but the comments. Should we read the comments and then we'll go into it? Okay. ABC opened the comment section to let people comment on this. That really tells you something. Oh, what does it tell us? I don't even know. This could be closed now. We'll read a few. This is the only election where the other candidate doesn't need to say a single word. Unfortunately, that's what's happening. I do not think he's going to be replaced. I think he's going to steal it again, though. This felt more like an intervention. Hard to believe we have a sitting president engaged in a public interview to discuss whether or not he's mentally fit. Trump wasn't shouting when the mic was off. He was uncharacteristically reserved. But we did see Biden shouting at least one time, but he was making such a fool out of himself, they turned it off. So it worked to Biden's advantage, but I guess people didn't see that. They probably just didn't look close enough. I apologize. This administration, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. This administration is like being tied to a chair and watching a toddler play with a gun. Interview not reassuring, doesn't acknowledge the problem. Okay. Yeah, he does say, did you watch the debate? Did you watch what you did? And he said, oh, I don't think I did. No. But like I said, we're going to that. I really don't personally think that the way Trump is running his campaign right now is I think it's going to backfire on him. He's been way too quiet over the last week. He doesn't even have a rally on the books for this weekend, which is really weird. Well, I'm calling this, he's running it like McCain-Palin 2008, because what happened there was that it was against Obama, and McCain was just totally mentally fucked anyway. Palin actually was pretty good, but nobody gave her a chance, so she just decided to give up and say fuck you, instead of polishing herself. And then her daughter shows up knocked up and several months pregnant to, I think, the convention, if I'm not mistaken. After she talks about but actually she was a pretty decent person. I mean, let's do it this way, and it takes certain character to know that you're going to give birth to a Down syndrome child and stay with the pregnancy, have the baby, and stick with it, and just give it as much love as possible with your family. That takes a lot of character. Okay. Now, let's this is only a few more minutes left, really. Let's see if they edited this. Oops, I apologize. Let me double check. I apologize. Let me double check I have my volume up in case it. Okay. in case we need it. All right. So let us watch the old codger. Was this from yesterday or the day before? I'm sorry. I've had a lot of pain issues, and I don't have, it's the government. I can't get the medication I need for pain. And I'm trying to get some help, but it's not good for me to take a bunch of shit anyway. But it's just been hard. It's been very, very hard. All right. So I think 1, 2, and 3 are already up. So this would be part 4, 3 or 4. I can't remember. So let's go.
The character of the president is going to determine whether or not this Constitution is employed the right way.
And we should note that ABC News offered Donald Trump the same opportunity for a one-on-one interview, and he declined. We'll have more of George Stephanopoulos' exclusive interview.
What? Why? Wait a minute. Do you guys believe that? I did not know that. Why? Okay. What's going on there? See what I'm saying? What is he doing? And why? Normally, Trump does interviews all the time. I'm not really quite sure what's going on. Okay, let's see. Okay. Well, let's find out. Oh, this is important. I've got to keep that going here. Okay. Yeah, I need it a little bit bigger here. Yeah. Okay. Turn down. I don't know. Okay, let's okay. I don't quite understand. He ripped Stephanopoulos ahead of ABC interview. Slammed George as the meanest and most vicious interviewer out there ahead of President Biden's sit-down interview with him later Friday on Truth Social, which sucks ass. I mean, that's a dumb thing. Trump, I guess, has a legal issue and he can't use Twitter right now. Trump called the ABC anchor George Stephanopoulos or Slopadopoulos while dubbing his network Fake News ABC one of the worst and most vile broadcasters in the business. Well, my guess is when Clinton was in the White House, Clinton used to hang out at Mar-a-Lago. He still might. It might be kept secret. I mean, I just don't believe much that I see or read. I have to sit down and figure it out. But I'm thinking George was really hitting Biden a lot. He didn't really cut him much slack, but they did edit the interview. Okay. The former president also noted one of the network's former reporters. I'm sorry, guys. Brian Ross was let go over anonymous details. He reported at the time there was supposed to be communication during the 2016 election between Russian officials. Oh, well, I can't with that. I mean, there is no way. Now ABC Little George, a tiny angry man, can make up for their past indiscretions and journalistic failures by doing a real interview with Crooked Joe, not a cut-up promotion with only his few coherent answers released to the public. Well, actually, he fucked up multiple times. Okay. Oh, okay. He filed a defamation lawsuit against the two in March involving an interview with ABC News anchor George did with Nancy Mace, taking issue with Stephanopoulos' questioning, saying that Trump had been found liable for rape. Okay. So he's in the middle of suing these people for defamation, or it probably is not the best thing for Trump to be with him if he still has a defamation lawsuit going. Yeah, I mean, that was just in March. I don't believe there was any sexual abuse anyway. She's really kind of a gross looking lady. And she had written a book or something saying that doing Trump, you know what I mean, was one of her biggest fantasies or something. Okay. So The Hill is a left-leaning site anyway. I wish she would have explained that he's filed a defamation suit against you, sweetie. Or against George.
An interview with President Biden.
So that's why. So Juju Chang, what did she do to her hair? Well, she is not very attractive, is she?
ABC News.
I mean, all they're doing is pimping for the Dems. Where's the rest of this interview? Oh, they changed it. They edited it. Okay. Yeah, where are we then? We're in the middle of this thing. Oh, why?
Through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland. Let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming.
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming. ABC News Live.
Let's return now to ABC's George Stephanopoulos.
She's ugly too.
Economist and senior
way-
foreign policy specialist say, if I stop now, I'd go down history as a
no.
pretty successful president.
I can't.
No one thought I could get done what we got done.
All right. So I have trouble with YouTube. I have trouble with the whole entire app on my computer. I if I'm on Rumble, that is my preferred way to go right now. BitChute just kind of sucks. I mean, BitChute is for like old men in their 70s. Or people that want to post really outrageous shit, but they're really short videos. And okay, let's see if we can bring this back just a little bit.
Let me ask you a tougher, more personal question. Are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years?
Yes, I am, because George, the last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think, as some of the senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I'd go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I could get done what we got done.
I'm sorry, what did you get done? Do you know how many crime sprees there are going on right now? Every night. I could start getting into that too. It's just I have trouble with YouTube. There was a shooting right down on 6th Street here, which is... All right, I tell you about the co-op I go to. I go to a co-op. That is, boom, right there. MLK and 6th. 7th, you hit the expressway. And by the way, very close to downtown, but there was a shooting spree last night, and few people would talk about it. Things are very tight-lipped. I can pull the video up. Every night there's a new one. And then there was the one I got caught in 2 weeks ago. I mean, I just missed that, being in gunfire or hearing gunfire by, well, 2 minutes tops. Some kid ripped off a car or carjacked a car and was driving it around, and he was going to sell it. And he didn't even have his driver's license. And according to his dad, he wasn't old enough to, either not old enough to drive or not old enough to buy a car, something like that, which I don't think there's an age limit on buying a car. But anyway, things are grim. Things are grim. I'm in shock. Like what I paid $3 for a few years ago, I now pay about 15, 16. I'm just talking like general cosmetic items, cleaning supplies, paper towels. Food is incredible. I mean, good luck. You know, and the co-op I go to is more expensive and it's organic and shit, but now they're even cutting out some things. It's very expensive. You know, and, you know, so you have to just conserve food. I mean, for fuck's sake, as Joe would say, look, this is the United States of America. And few people could think, what have you done? It's just, he keeps saying, hey, I did so much. You wouldn't even believe what I did. Well, could you name one thing that you did domestically to help people, like in real time? Okay.
But are you being honest with yourself as well
By the
about
way,
your ability to defeat Donald
he now is like going orange and he's using self-tanner.
Trump right now?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you.
Sure.
Because you were close, but behind going into the debate. You're further behind now by any measure. It's been a two-man race for several months. Inflation has come down. In those
Not
last
really.
few months, he's become a convicted felon,
What?
yet you're still falling further behind.
You guys keep saying that. George, look, you know polling better than anybody. Do you think polling data is accurate as it used to be?
I don't think so, but I think when you look at all of the polling data right now,
Oh, he's got
it shows that he's certainly ahead in the popular vote, probably even more ahead in the battleground states. And one of the other key factors there is it shows that in many of the
They're reinstalling the drop boxes here. You know, I always go crazy. Oh, maybe you don't know. I always just, well, I can't really do much on crutches, but I usually do something weird or two because I begin to snap in the days before. These neighborhoods are so weird here. I just snap. I'm like, because you know what's going on and you have no way to really stop it. I mean, the electoral votes are going to go to Biden here. This thing is down. It doesn't matter if you stay home. It doesn't matter if you openly support the fucker. They, meaning the machine that works, and the NGOs and generally the citizens that are mainly old white hippies, old white boomers. This is one of their last chances. They might have two more or so, but they're passing down their craft and their techniques to the millennials. And God forbid I say anything or do anything because I could be targeted easily. Like I said, there was just a shooting can't remember if anyone was killed or not. Like within blocks here. That probably doesn't mean anything to you guys. It's a different neighborhood. It's the next neighborhood over. Okay. I mean, it's on the other side of the river. I mean, it is bad. All right. Like even when I'm on crutches and stuff, and some of these people come into the co-op and shit, they just basically come in there to steal shit. I mean, one of the things they really like to do is they always park in handicap parking and just don't care. They keep their car running. This is a big deal. I've noticed, and it's a common practice. And we have no police. There isn't any police that sits down and tries to come up with a way, or they won't put any plan in action to curb this shit. They just won't do it. They're just letting it happen. It's just out of control. It's the worst I've ever seen it here. Well, the late 80s were pretty bad. So, but then the crime bill went through, the 3 strikes, right, Joe? That you pimped in. Do you? Okay. Another thing. This guy only wears blue, and he always has this shirt on with the open button. Always. He has about 3 shirts, and these are orthopedic shoes. You can see. See how they're built up? Because, I read that in an article here just a few days ago. Look at him. He just looks like an old fuck.
Many of the battleground states, the Democrats who are running for Senate and the House are doing better than you are.
Well, that's not unusual in some states. I carried an awful lot of Democrats last time I ran in 2020. Look, I remember them telling me the same thing in 2020. I can't win. The polls show I can't win. Remember 2020, the red wave was coming.
Oh, my God.
Before the vote, I said, that's not going to happen. We're going to win.
Yeah,
we did better than all 3 than almost any incumbent president ever has done.
I'm sorry. Okay. Tim Pool without his hat on. Don't you love that? Look at this. I can't stand this guy. See, try to figure me out. You won't. The bald truth. Okay. The city of Milwaukee has 590,157 residents versus the 640,768 votes cast there in 2020 election, meaning that more than 108% of the population voted. The city is in Milwaukee County, where Biden won 69.1% of the vote. Here, though the population count is the same as July 2019 estimate provided by the U.S. Census Bureau, the 640,768 vote count is not accurate. Oh, that's fact check. Oh, yes, it is. 7 wards reported more vote totals that exceeded the total number of registered voters. 7 Milwaukee wards report more presidential votes than population. 7 Milwaukee wards report more. 90% voter turnout explained. Okay, thanks. Well, they had to explain it because Trump is so bad and he's like Orange Man and people actually came out, and they don't normally come out, and they weren't counted in the census. So, yeah, he got almost 100,000 more votes than the population. So, yeah, that's normal. Shit, yeah. All of Milwaukee's wards reported more registered voters. Huh. But that's debunked. No, it's not. We have a fact check going here. Milwaukee turnout was flat. Oh, I don't understand. Why? Fact check. Check your fact. God. You just know it. When you're getting, even now, I'm still getting letters for another girl that used to live here. Her name is Lily. She must have been quite active. A Chinese lady. Well, she's got a Chinese last name. An incredible miracle. Okay. Well, I knew Trump was going to win, and then on election day, and then leading up to it, and then with the COVID shit and the mail-in stuff and the stuff I was getting in the mail, I knew that it would be stolen big time. Okay. Well, 80% of the city is going to vote for him anyway. Okay. We better fact check that. No, that's not possible. No. Okay. Okay. Well. All right. I'm sorry this is taking so long. Okay.
They said in 2023, all the tough races we're not going to win. I went into all those areas, all those
2020. He means 2022.
All those districts, and we won.
All that is true, but 2020 was a close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw was about 36%. The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
Not when you're running against a pathological liar. Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged. Not when people...
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh, I sure had months, but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things, like wars around the world, like keeping NATO together, like working... Anyway. But look...
Do you really believe you're not behind right now?
I think it's all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. And when I'm behind, there's only one poll I'm really far behind, CBS poll and NBC, and...
New York Times and NBC both have you about 6 points behind in the popular vote.
That's exactly right. New York Times had me behind before anything happened to do with this race.
Oh, yeah.
Had me behind 10 points. 10 points had me behind. Nothing's changed substantially in the debate.
Why is he whispering? His voice barely comes out. Okay.
The New York Times poll.
Just when you look at the reality, though, Mr. President, I mean, you won the popular vote in 2020, but it was still deadly close in the Electoral
By 7
College.
million votes.
Yes, but you're behind now in the popular vote.
I don't buy that.
Is it worth the risk?
I don't think anybody's more qualified to be president or win the race than me.
You know, the heart of your case against Donald Trump
Oh my God. Is this thing going to go on me
is that
again?
he's only out for himself, putting his personal interest ahead of the national interest.
What?
How do you respond to critics who say that by staying race, you're doing the same thing?
Oh, come on. Well, I don't think those critics know what they're talking about.
They're just wrong.
It's wrong. Look, Trump is a pathological liar. Trump is, he is. Have you ever seen anything Trump did that benefited somebody else?
Oh
not
my
him?
God.
You can't answer, I know.
I've questioned him and his allies as persistently as any journalist has.
No, I know you have. I'm not being
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah.
I'm not being critical. But look, I mean, the man is a congenital liar. As I said, they pointed out in that debate he lied 27, 28 times the times, or whatever number, over 20 times. Talk about how good his economy was, how he brought down inflation,
was
how
good.
this is a guy who, unlike only other president other than him is Hoover, who lost more jobs than he created. This is a guy who told us he put bleach in our arms to deal with COVID.
No, he never
Over a
said
million
that.
people died. This is a guy who talks about wanting to get rid of the healthcare provisions we put in place. This is a guy who wants to give the power back to big pharma to be able to charge exorbitant prices.
Actually, people do take peroxide, medical grade peroxide, as a body cleanse. And that's alternative medicine. And okay. I mean, I looked all that up at the time. What is he bringing this old shit up for? This is actually going to really kill me. This is going to put me under a lot of stress. And I might add that where is he getting this shit from? He's going back 4 years. Instead of going on his record, he expanded NATO. What did we need at NATO? How was that necessary for the safety of our country? We're not. Okay, when I go to bed at night, I don't say, oh my God, Russia's going to bomb me. I would say something else. I mean, go on Candace Owens' channel right now where she's discussing 9/11. That's pretty eye-opening. Or go on her Rumble channel. I don't know if she's posting on YouTube. I don't really particularly like YouTube all that much. It's very clunkety and has too much built into it where I can't just go boom, boom, boom anymore. It's like, for you. It's like too curated. It's just overboard. It's bullshit. Okay. So go there. I mean, I don't think China is going to come in here through the southern border and kill me. I really don't see many illegals in my neighborhood. I mean, I see in my neighborhood, I mean, like between here and a few, well, in my immediate surroundings, say the several streets that make up the neighborhood. I guess if that makes sense. I mean, there were a group of like students hanging out waiting for a bus when I was out earlier. Well, just maybe an hour and a half ago. And they were a little rowdy. They were probably heading down to, they were coming from the dorm or something, heading down to go party or something. Somewhere nearby. It was about, I don't see, but they were all Euro. They were all white that I could see. I don't see Hispanics on my side of town. A few, not many, not here. I know they're somewhere else, but I'm pretty far north here. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not particularly concerned about that, and I don't think it's going to happen. Actually, they're doing quite well right now. And they don't want to start a war with the United States. They think we're small potatoes anyway right now. They're in the process of building their own economies with their own currency. They're giving up the dollar on your dime. And George should mention shit like this. Why in the world can't we just have an intellectual conversation about shit? Like a real convo. It's like the US is a very young country compared to other countries. And as far as I can see right now, he's going to go for the steal. They're ready. All you need is perhaps a couple hundred people here that will be willing to do some shit. It'll happen. And Trump, in the middle of July, in the most high crime times and the high crime point of the year, he decides to go downtown there, and oh my God. And it's no one is welcoming him. I mean, he's already being blacklisted, and the whole convention is going to be fucked. I've talked about this. I mean, they're going to do things like overcharge, maybe water down the booze, pretend to be nice, but as soon as they close up, they're going to give you the finger after you give them a nice tip, spit in your food. Oh, a favorite is taking a section or a room or something, if there are breakout sessions, and purposely turning the air conditioning down. They love that one. And or off all the way when it's like 90 degrees out with 80% humidity. That's a good one. Okay.
This is for drugs. This is a guy who wants to undo every single thing I've done. Every single
What
thing.
have you done, though? What have you done? You closed the Keystone Pipeline day one. And you started EOing and mandating a bunch of shit. Everything that Trump accomplished, you undid. So all he wants to do is go back to what he did, which is, I mean, you're just going back and forth, and you're never going to make any progress. Every single, like, EO that Trump did, Biden undid. Like the first day. But it's not Biden. Because you can see he's not like, okay, let's get my stack on my desk going, let's move. Boom, 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 boom. He doesn't have that kind of experience. He's a grifter. He's a flim-flam man. He's a con artist. He doesn't sit down and do real work. He just goes out and grifts. He's on the grift.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But if you convince yourself that only you can defeat him,
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
if you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that. I might.
Well, I mean, on a more practical level, Washington Post just reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try and convince you to stand down because they don't think you can win.
Well, Mark is a good man. But we've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination too. Mark's not.
When?
Mark and I have a different perspective. I respect him.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond?
I go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. No one said, none of the people said I should leave.
But if they do,
Look at his shirt. It's too small. His abdomen is pushing out. You see that? Or is that his depends? I mean, if this button pops, what's underneath, right? Just notice how in most of his interviews and appearances, he always has this light blue striped shirt. Pretty much always wears blue. Doesn't look like a professional man. He just wears the exact same thing from day to day. So I guess he doesn't have a wardrobe.
Well, it's like, we're not going to do that.
you sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came out and said, Joe, get out of the race.
Why is he like whispering? Why isn't he speaking clearly?
Race, I get out of the race, the Lord Almighty's not coming down. I mean, these hypotheticals, George. If all.
But it's not that hypothetical anymore. I grant that they have not requested the meeting, but it's been
Well,
reported.
I've met with them. I've met with these people. I've talked with them regularly. I had an hour conversation with Akeem. I had more time than that with Jim Clyburn. I spent time with many hours, often in the last, with Chuck Schumer. It's not like I had all the governors.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down, but if you are told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
You saw it today. How many people do you get draw crowds like I drew today? You find many more enthusiastic than today?
He had under 1,000 people. Trump usually gets, what, 20,000, 100,000? I'm not even making that up. Okay, he's crazy. That's the biggest crowd he's ever had in his whole political career. That's why he says it.
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
And you can draw a big crowd, but what does he say? Who does he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble. We raised $38 million within 4 days after this. We have over 1 million individual contributors. Less than $200.
What?
I've not seen what you're proposing.
Less than $200? What?
You haven't seen
Who the fuck has $200 in their pocket to give to you?
the fall off in the polls. You haven't seen the reports of discontent in the Democratic Party, House Democrats, Senate Democrats.
I've seen it from the press.
So much to analyze. And so for more insight on this interview, we're joined now by contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade, who's also author of the Politico Playbook. Rachel, thanks for joining us.
Get this. And so they're in the armed members, and these aren't just random members here. I mean,
Oh, he's starting to jog now. That's going to backfire too. Oh, I've lost my feed. This happens with YouTube. I don't know why. It just doesn't, it's not an app that works for me. Okay, here we go.
Well, look, this certainly did not quell the panic within the Democratic Party. In fact, it may have increased the schisms here. Now you have the camp of those who think that the president was just fine, that this is how President Biden normally is. And then the other camp who believe that this really underscores the challenges of his candidacy, that he didn't do enough to turn this around. I've been speaking with some donors and allies here who say that this didn't really change the status quo. Yes, it was far better than he did on that disastrous debate, but he didn't do enough to stem the damage here. And you, of course, have lawmakers, donors, and allies who have really waiting out on the sidelines, watching to see how he does in these rallies, in this critical interview, to decide if they want to continue supporting the president or if they want to join the growing chorus of those who are publicly calling him to step aside.
And how united is the support inside the White House? What are you hearing from your sources about how the president's interview went tonight?
Yeah, I was just talking to the White House, and they're calling this a solid interview. They believe that we need to focus less on the president's delivery and what he says and what he's done. The president, of course, has said so himself, that 90 minutes shouldn't erase all the work that he's done in the last 3.5 years. They tout that he spoke about all the jobs that he's created, the work he's done around chips, on uniting NATO, on pushing back Putin in Ukraine. So in their view,
That doesn't affect us from day to day, though.
this is just Joe Biden being. Certainly didn't get that today.
God.
Is out campaigning for the president today.
Polling is one thing, and the numbers have been getting worse. You have both the Wall Street Journal and New York Times polling showing that Trump widened his lead.
Okay, we're gonna have to pull out of YouTube here. Okay, is that it then with the interview? Was that it? I guess. Okay, so we're not gonna suffer with this here anymore. So. YouTube and I want to use the app. It's just not working for me. I turned it off and it's still buffering. Okay, so this is where we end this. I thought it was a really dumb interview. I didn't see anything like, there's a pathological error. There's a pathological error. What are you talking about? Hey? All right. There'll be more.